is that you've got a problem where the government spends so much in construction that they could use their purchasing power to drive down construction wages. They buy so much, let's make them pay the market rate. And in principle, that wouldn't be an issue if the government were paying the market rate. Unfortunately, these prevailing wage calculations are absurdly flawed. The GAO has looked at this time and again, and they bear almost no correlation to the actual wages workers are earning in the area, for three reasons. One, they don't even use scientific random sampling survey methods. It's a self-reported survey. It's like an internet poll. Two, the surveys are massively out of date. It takes them years and in some cases decades to come back to resurvey areas. So the average survey is 7 years out of date. And three, the survey forms that they send out are so complex and are asking the contractors for information in a form they just don't keep it. Like how much do you spend per hour on healthcare benefits for your employees? If you're a contractor, you have no idea. And so they found 100% error rates when they went in and did thorough audits. 100% error rates. That's not just bad. That's government level incompetence. But the net result is that these Davis-Bacon wages are in some cases way above market wages and in some cases way below. You go to San Diego, California, the Davis-Bacon rate for an electrician is $32 an hour. Quite a bit higher than the $23 an hour market rate. Go to Long Island, New York, and you're paying $45 an hour, you as the taxpayers, to hire these electricians. When if you paid market prevailing wages, you'd actually only be paying $31 an hour. That's 43% wage premium for basically nothing. On the other hand, if you go to Burlington, North Carolina, market rates are $19 an hour. But the Davis-Bacon rate, $7.25, the federal minimum wage. So to the extent that government purchasing power is a problem, in some parts of the country, it's actually being used to push down the wages. This is a law that has no purpose. It shouldn't be on the books. Were it not for the fact that these prevailing wages tend to be close to union rates, because they're the ones who have the most interest in filling out the forms. So nationwide, they're 22% above market rates. This means that if you're a small business, you're a minority-owned business, you're basically, if you're not a union shop and you're paying competitive market wages, well, you can't underbid the unionized firms. So while in most of the private construction industry, the unions have just disappeared because they've been outcompeted, for government projects, the unions can get the jobs because by law, you can't get the job if you're not paying the union rates. And so there's this immense, powerful constituency that wants to be getting paid $45 an hour for $31 an hour work and doesn't want you as the taxpayer to have any savings. Now the total cost of this was $9 billion a year before we passed the stimulus bill. The Davis-Bacon Act adds another $15 billion to the cost of the stimulus. Now, this is money that could be used, almost any other use of this money would be better than simply pouring it into a well politically connected constituency. If our concern is jobs, well, you can take away the Davis-Bacon requirement and have $9 billion more a year on basic construction programs, $15 billion more a year on the stimulus program, to create even more jobs at market wages. And everyone who's already got these jobs is still going to continue to work because they're market wages. They'll work for, by definition, market wages. Now, if we're concerned about the deficit, as many of us rightly are, if we want to reduce spending, the stimulus is adding $15 billion to the deficit for no public benefit. If the idea is that we're trying to get money in the hand of people and they're going to spend it, well, that the $15 billion in the stimulus would work out to a $100 tax credit for every American filer and a $200 tax credit for every married couple filing jointly. Why give it to the politically connected interest? If the goal is to rack up the debt and give the money to people to spend, let's give it to all Americans instead of a select few. This is the kind of pork barrel project that President Obama campaigned against and that he promised to change. But the labor movement is a very strong supporter of his presidency in his campaign, and so it's of course not something that he's had any interest in touching. But it is pure waste. There's no benefit to the taxpayers. We're not even getting a bridge to nowhere for the benefit of this Davis-Bacon. All we're doing is giving money to people who would have been happy to work for regular market wages.
James, you mentioned the reason Davis-Bacon was put forward was to keep African-American workers from moving up to New York and getting jobs with government contractors at the time, but that was no longer the reason for the legislation. I had a conversation with a leading member of Congress who wanted me to support a number of years ago a gasoline tax increase so he could spend more money on federal road building. And I said, why do that? Why not get rid of the Davis-Bacon Act as a way to free up resources to actually build more roads and highways. And he said, do you want all of your highways built by Hispanics? Question mark. So the Davis-Bacon Act remains a racist piece of legislation. It just has a different tone.
No, that's true. It's no longer the public justification, but if you take a look at the effect it has.
This was not a public conversation. I don't think he said that on TV.
Yeah, that's not something people are willing to say out loud. It is. You take a look at the studies and you find that because union members are disproportionately non-minority, then it has the effect of freezing out minorities. And when you've had states that get rid of their version of the Davis-Bacon Act, you've had the effect of having minority employment go up, minority earnings go up, but the earnings and the employment of white union members goes down.